What is up, Oaks? Welcome back to the Fight Scene YouTube channel, and we are back with the betting video. We need redemption this week in the Apex because, let's face it, Oaks, Abu Dhabi was an absolute nightmare. Not just for me, for UFC bettors across the globe and across social media. No one could have predicted the amount of underdogs that were going to win. But this week, we got some pretty dangerous underdogs. However, only a fool would think that that many underdogs is going to win again. However, I think we've got some good ones. So we'll get into it. I'm looking for big redemption this week, Oaks, because, we know Abu Dhabi did not go well. So we'll try and make it better. We'll try to do some damage control this week. So I've only got one parlay for you, Oaks, because the parlays are what crushed me last week. So just one parlay, but it's a bit of a long shot one. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. So I'll give you some honorable mention underdogs and their odds. Treshawn Gore at 2.49, Nick Klein at 2.13, Neil Magny at 2.49, Nora Cornell at 2.33, and those are the honorable mention underdogs. Of course, those are the ones where I'm thinking they've definitely got a chance, but it's touch and go. Like, to break it down just slightly, it's like Treshawn Gore, bro's kind of ass. But there is a world in which he wins this fight, so, that's why I've got him down here. Nick Klein, I think he's an underdog slightly just because he's only had one fight in the UFC and he did lose. But I think he bounces back here this week. Neil Magny as well, one of those Oaks where, depending on the day, he can either look like trash or he can actually look pretty competitive and go out there and win this fight. So I think there's definitely some value there. Nora Cornell, I actually think, is going to win. So she could actually be in the good underdog category because, I think she has a bit more experience and she has the tool set. And there's actually a little cheeky bet on that one. I'll tell you later. But so those are some honorable mention underdogs. Now we'll get into our big underdogs, or at least my favorite underdogs. So first up is Nathan Fletcher at 3.6 to 1 against Rinya Nakamura. Now, Oaks, the reason I've got this one down is because Nathan Fletcher is so good, first of all, and he's so dangerous on the ground. His submission game, he's got rear naked chokes, he's got triangles, he's really good on the ground. And Nakamura is a wrestler. Traditionally, he's competed at a very high level. I can't remember the exact stat or whatever, but he's competed in championship things. But he doesn't necessarily have the best fight IQ. In his last fight, he didn't use his wrestling and he lost a unanimous decision. He got knocked down in the first round and he kind of got dominated. So I just don't think his fight IQ is necessarily all there. And if he doesn't show up, I think a hungry Nathan Fletcher could outwork him. And then a one on top of that in that fight is Nathan Fletcher by submission at 11 to 1. Now, you Oaks might think I'm absolutely cooked, and you'd be right. But the thing is like I've just said, Nathan Fletcher's submission game is absolutely unreal. So at 11 to 1 odds against a guy who traditionally does like to wrestle and will put himself in positions to get submitted, I think it's great value for money. It's betting, Oaks. Like, nothing's guaranteed, but there's such a world where even Nathan Fletcher gets knocked down and Nakamura runs in and catches himself in an arm triangle, like something like that. It's something I think could happen, and it's definitely something I'm going to sprinkle some money on. But if you think I'm, being a bit of, you're entitled to that. So moving on, we are going to go for one of my favorite underdogs as well, is Chris Duncan at 2.55 against Mateus Rebecki. Another fight that's definitely going to be tough for Duncan, but he's good submission threat again, and he's just he's a dangerous fighter, but so is Rebecki. The reason I'm leaning towards Duncan is I think Rebecki has shown he can fatigue a bit later on in the rounds, but it depends, if he wins the first two, then it doesn't really matter if he gasses out and just stays in there. But I just think Chris Duncan has a bit more to get it done this weekend for some reason. I'm just backing the Scottish power. A lot of guys are liking that underdog, and I'm joining the hype train. So we'll see. Chris Duncan, 2.55. See what happens. Then next one. Okay, so I told you there was a little cheeky one with Nora Cornell. and that is Nora Cornell by KO at 13 to 1. If you didn't think I was mad before, you might think I'm mad now. Yeah, it's a women's MMA fight. And Oaks, just remember I called Carly Judas by KO. Yes, that was a bit more likely than this. But Nora Cornell, I promise you, she's got hands, she's got kicks, she's super dangerous. And I don't know, her opponent's never been knocked out. She's only been submitted twice, which does say something. But I don't know. I think a late round finish could be loading. She just has to catch her with something. And I think Nora Cornell could definitely do that. So not just is she a good underdog, I think KO 13-1 odds. How are you? And then our second last bet is Esteban Ribovics by KO TKO, which is 2.55-1. Fantastic odds. I thought it was going to be 2 or like 1.9. I don't even know what I was expecting. These days odds are so crazy that I was expecting it to be a lot lower. And at 2.55, I think that's great odds. This fight is going to be a stand-up war. And I know that Brenner leaves his chin exposed and he loves to run in. Like, it's just a fight where Brenner could get knocked out very easily in like the second or third round after taking a lot of damage. Kind of the sort of vibe when he got knocked out by Joel Alvarez. So Ribovics KO 2.55. And then our final bet is Tatsuro Taira by submission, also at 2.55-1. Oaks, this one's pretty self-explanatory. We all know how good this guy's ground game is, how good his jiu-jitsu is, how slick it is. I mean, if you haven't, go watch his finish against Alex Perez, because he just takes the back and sinks in a rear naked choke. So quality. Oh no, sorry, I'm being stupid, man. He doesn't sink in the choke, but he takes his back and he starts looking for the choke, but he takes his back like so well. And then he's holding him and he literally falls in a way with Alex Perez that blows out Alex Perez's knee, and then it ends the fight. But he's just, his submission game, his ground game, his grappling so good, and he's got good stand-up. So I think it's going to be a win for him no matter what, especially coming up against Park, who's on short notice, and he also has the undefeated curse. So he's destined to lose his O. And obviously, Taira submission, self-explanatory. And Oaks, that breaks down. Oh, the last one, sorry. This is the parlay, which is Piera Rodriguez versus Ketlin Souza to go the distance. Estevam versus Bunes, whatever, to go over 2.5 rounds. Silva versus Vallejos not to go the distance. And then Taira and Ribovics money line. 5.24, $100 gets you 576. That's the long shot parlay to end it off. Hopefully this week goes better, because you know your boy needs it. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know what you think of these bets. Subscribe if you haven't. And I will check you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.